I have always believed in positive thinking. At the same time, I do not wish to deceive. I also believe in aspiring in terms of what you do, aiming to protect yourself from the negative consequences. You can't just go around being this wonderful man who is always positive, because that isn't how the world works. I love telling people to prepare for obstacles so that when they arise, they are ready. Assume I am employed, but I have a strong desire to establish my own business. How can I know if I'm the suitable type of person for the entrepreneurial life? That is, in my opinion, the best and most difficult question you have asked. Someone has a family, works a good job, and earns X dollars each week. They do not have anything to worry about. It is not going to be wonderful. They are not planning to live in Palm Beach. But you know what? They have a job which generates income. In my perspective, the hardest thing to do in business is to leave your job and become an entrepreneur, because you are jeopardizing your cash. You are also risking your family's health, as well as your own. You are taking a significant risk. You must have an intuitive sense of whether or not you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Can you tolerate pressure? Can you deal with all of the challenges that will arise? There will be many complications. But, in my opinion, the most difficult task in business is knowing when to get out of something and when to get into something, which is a very, very risky venture. You know, when people ask me about success, I've only recently begun to think about it since. I've witnessed so many examples. You must be able to handle pressure regardless of your level of success. I have numerous friends and enemies. There are also many foes. I do not care, but they're intelligent. I have many enemies, and I've observed folks and witnessed it. And those who can manage pressure can be. Entrepreneurs can be successful. Now, I have some acquaintances who are extremely intelligent but can't manage pressure. In that case, they should work for someone, do well, and have a wonderful life. There's nothing wrong with it, because I believe the ability to handle pressure is instinctive. One of the things I tell people about pressure is, do you remember what they said? How do you handle pressure? Who has faced greater pressure than I? Have I felt pressure throughout the years? And, you know, I get criticized for my hair, but it isn't so horrible. And it is real. It is this is my genuine hair. I mean, I get killed. I recently came across an excellent post. He then said one phrase, but he has the ugliest hair piece I've ever seen. I couldn't show the article to anyone. And it is not even true. But you must be able to bear pressure. And you must be aware of your own inability to bear pressure. You must understand that about yourself. So handle the pressure. If you can't, that's fine. But one of the things I say, people remember my response to the question, how do you deal with stress? And someone actually said, Donald, you are so handsome. Do you believe it? I adore this person. You're incredibly attractive. How have you managed to remain so attractive under all of this pressure? And I said to myself, you have to remember that it doesn't matter. God is important. Your family is important. It does not matter. And if you say that, I have certain people who tell me I have to succeed. I have got to be. They will never succeed. It's too crazy. They can't think clearly. Does this make sense? Does this make sense to you? That was insane, standing up for your accomplishment, right? So you have to deal. Now he's a little more reserved, That is very good. I like it. We have calmed him down. So you must be able. You have to be able to tell yourself that nothing else matters save the big issues with family, faith, and so on. People accept mediocrity for one reason, and they're lazy. I've seen it so many times. Folks get into something and don't want to go the extra mile. They know it's not going to be good. It could be good or okay. It is not going to be wonderful. They opt for mediocrity. They're lazy. I have 5 children, 3 of whom are entrepreneurs, thanks in large part to the success of The Apprentice, where Ivanka, Don, and Eric become well known. However, most of this can be attributed to early childhood. I would always tell him, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. And now I'll add for Barron, and I would drive him insane. Every time they left, I'd tell them not to use drugs, drink alcohol, or smoke cigarettes. I'd have to. Repeat. They'd leave, and Ivanka'd leave. Would you leave me alone? But I hammer it into their skulls. And you know you need to get back. You must overcome those artificial boundaries, which I refer to as such since you can do something about them until it's too late. Once it enters your system, it is extremely difficult to get rid of. I don't drink, and it's quite easy for me not to. I tell folks, what are you drinking for? What do you drink for? And they don't even get what I'm saying. How did you work? It's incredible when people see you. They can't believe it. No alcohol. Oh, would I be in trouble if I drank through my lungs? No smoking. Yes, no smoking. I had a brother, Fred, who was a severe drinker. And he was the most attractive guy you'd ever seen. And he was far older than you. He was considerably older. He was 10 to 11 years older than me. And he was as attractive a man as you'd ever seen. He had everything, even the best personality. I have a horrible personality compared to Fred, but he began drinking and smoking heavily, and I believe it began in college, but it worsened with time, and he was unable to quit, and he'd always tell me, "Don't you drink?" So he was much older than me, and an age difference like that has a significant impact. But he would point out, "Don't you ever drink or smoke?" He'd add the smoke because he smoked and drank, and it had a significant impact on his health, as well as his appearance and, whole bearing. And every time he saw me, he would ask, "Don't you ever drink?" And "Don't you?" So I never drank. I mean, really. When it comes to my father, I learn a lot from him, but also from my brother Fred. And he set an example. It may not have been the most obvious example, but it was one in its own right. You contributed significant skill in branding, marketing, and rebranding. What recommendations would you provide to small and medium-sized business owners regarding branding and marketing? First and foremost, you must have a high-quality product. If you don't have the product, skip it. But presuming they have a very good product, you need to spread the word. I know better vocalists, more talented than Frank Sinatra. You will never hear about them. I know one particular person who is extremely talented, always practicing and rehearsing. However, if the New York Times calls for an interview, I'm not ready yet. I am not ready yet. They're never prepared. You have to get out and do it. You also need to make the press aware of your existence. I have high-rated golf courses, for example. And finally, once you've received the ratings, you must notify others. It is a long and time-consuming process. It's truly a fantastic thing. If you can get a mentor, having a mentor makes a tremendous impact in your life right now. You have to look around and see who you aim to be or be like, but having a mentor is a fantastic thing. I do have to ask you what it's like to wake up as Donald Trump. What is it like to shave in the mirror and see yourself as an icon to go? I'm honored by your question, but I don't think of it that way. I mean, I wake up, shave, use a mirror and all that. But, I go to work, I arrive early, I leave late, I work hard, I employ a large number of people, I provide extensive education, and I do a variety of other things. Every week, I provide for people by handing them a check. There is a lot of health care, and it makes me feel fantastic. I know a lot of folks, including a handful of my employees, whose wives have cancer and are well cared for as a result. They have a good program under the Trump organization, and I'm pleased about it. So I feel like I did a great job. I've produced a lot of high-quality work and employed many individuals. What would be your one piece of advice you would have for a rising or prospective businessman, or a woman? Knowledge. However, if there's only one word, it is extremely difficult. But the word is knowledge. But you gain wisdom through experience. People talk about luck, and I believe that people are lucky, with some being more fortunate than others. I do believe that. However, there is a saying that states that the harder you work, the fortunate you will become. And I can recall 10 situations in which I did not quit. In 1990, the globe was collapsing, and the debt markets affected everyone. All of my friends and enemies were declaring bankruptcy. I never done that, but tried. I mean, the times were genuinely bad. Even now, you can look at what happened and learn from it. However, the term luck is highly fascinating. But if I hadn't worked so hard, I doubt I'd be here now. And unless you portrayed myself as a man who was once successful. But let's see what a loser looks like. So, you must work hard, since, as said earlier, hard work might lead to luck. Your first book, The Art of the Deal, opens with a simple line that many readers may find difficult to understand. You say, "I don't do it for money." Could you explain that? Well, I do it because I enjoy it. I wouldn't do it unless I loved it. I have horrible days, good days, and days that fall somewhere in between. But the final effect is that I enjoy what I do and don't do it for the money. And I make money even though I'm probably not doing it for money. I do it well. I'm the largest developer in New York. I enjoy creating structures. I have a lot of fun creating structures. The truth is that I do this for enjoyment. I do it for game. I do it for sport. I happen to earn a lot of money doing it. I wouldn't be successful if I didn't enjoy it and truly love what I do. I would not be sitting with you today. What does this mean for someone who is watching and wants to increase their wealth? What do you see as the message there? Well, the message is that you must love what you do. It is unlikely that you will succeed if you undertake it solely for financial gain. I have friends who I tell to leave this good business and go into another not so good business because they like the other one. They'll do better in a less desirable business than in a better one because they enjoy it. Going against the tide is fantastic if it succeeds. Now, it does not always function, and going against the tide requires a high level of intelligence because you're up against a lot of smart individuals. However, whether it is Microsoft or Google, getting it correctly will result in a superior outcome. I mean, many successful people have defied the odds. But you must have a strong belief in yourself. You need to be the appropriate person. Only a few people can pull it off, but when they do, it's fantastic. The same idea applies to real estate. You go against the tide. When others are selling, you are buying. The tides change. I had a friend who was not successful but was really promising, and he had something. He would only fly first class. I'm not saying to do this because it won't work for everyone, but he needed it mentally, correct? He wanted to fly first class because he wanted to believe he was the best. That was all. And even though he didn't have much money at the time, which was many years ago, he would always fly. I used to criticize him, but it made him feel better. And he became a very successful individual. Very, very successful. And I've always known that he'd never fly coach. He would always fly first class, even if he didn't have the resources to fly. So it's complicated, but do whatever it takes to train that.